Now, if you look at the industry that is most targeted in Nigeria as a whole, the finance and banking sector rank at the top.
Hello and welcome to another guest segment on Africa Business Radio. I am Chukwunonso Modi. Today we're talking about cyber security, and we're specifically looking at the banking and finance industry in Nigeria. Now, what are the trends to look out for in 2022? What are the resource gaps, and how important is cyber security to the banking sector? Now, joining me to have the conversation is an experienced information security consultant with a demonstrated history of working with large enterprise and telcos on the African continent. Here's Justice Anyai, Checkpoint Software Technologies Limited Country Manager for Nigeria. Welcome, Justice. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me, Monto. I'm also very happy to be here.
All right, thank you. Now, let's start with this. What is the current state of cybersecurity in the finance and banking sector in Nigeria? Can you give us statistics?
Yes, very well. I can give you some statistics. And this is based on parameters collected by Checkpoint Research.
Okay.
I can say I'll look at it from a global point of view, then I'll drill down to Nigeria.
Okay.
Now, the number of attacks experienced per business each week is about 870 on an average. And I'm number of cyber attacks. Now, alarmingly, in Nigeria, this week figures is about over 2,308. And this is across all industry sectors collectively. Now, if you look at the industry that is most targeted in Nigeria as a whole, the finance and banking sector rank at the top. Of course, we know why that is. And over the last 6 months, we've also seen the number of attacks against this institution in Nigeria go over 3,000 attacks per week, while on a global scale, the figure ranges between 700 and 774, which is pretty low on a global scale compared to the volume of attack we are experiencing here in Nigeria. And also surprisingly, over the last 6 months, we see that 62% of Nigerian businesses are falling victims to what we call remote code execution attacks. And what this means is that it gives cyber criminals the ability to remotely take control of businesses in terms of their critical resources, private data, and basically exfiltrate that information for their own personal gains. Look at the most recorded cyber attack vector that we see in Nigeria. Email records about 60%, from a Nigerian perspective.
These are really alarming numbers that you have called. Now, this leads me to this question. Does this mean that there is a cybersecurity resource gap in the finance and banking sector? And if there are, what are these gaps?
Now, the truth is that you must know that attackers would always go to where, I would say there are motivations why someone would want to attack any industry. Financial gain is one of those motivations, and we know the banking sector is one sector that's, in terms of, you can easily steal, or attackers can easily perpetrate an attack and steal funds. Either these days, digital currencies or funds from digital platforms. Okay. The truth is, the financial sector has moved most of these services majorly to online-based infrastructure. They rely mostly on IT backbone to drive their businesses. We're seeing huge, use of certain platforms like the mobile to consummate transaction. Come think about it, if you drill down to Nigeria, according to NIBS, the Nigerian Interbank Settlement Schemes, we see a huge use of mobile to consummate transaction. Right, and I can share with you some very alarming statistics that is very encouraging. Also, this poses an avenue for attackers to take advantage of the loopholes to perpetrate their dubious acts. The truth is that there's money within the financial sector, and attackers will always go where the money is. Right, and also they have the means to pay whatever ransom that is being exposed or that they are being faced with if for any reason they've been compromised.
Okay. Now, speaking of this resource gap, still on mobile banking now, would you say that the banking sector too have a role to play in this resource gap? Now, I will give an example. Just the other day, a friend of mine posted a letter he wrote to his bank. Now, according to him, on his mobile bank app, they put the amount he can loan from the bank. So now he was saying that they shouldn't do that because in a case where his phone is stolen and the person, or even hacked, and the person goes to his mobile banking app and sees the amount he can loan from, he's eligible to loan from his bank, and the person now goes ahead to loan that money. Now, it's not him, he did not do it, but someone else has done it. But the bank doesn't know if someone else, doesn't know if his phone was hacked or even stolen. They just know this person borrowed this money. And definitely they will come after him and he has to pay that money. So issues like that, would you say the bank themselves are not closing the gaps and not doing something right when it comes to cybersecurity? Now,
if you understand that cybersecurity holistically is a shared responsibility. Right?
Okay.
The banks, they have the responsibility to secure, and I say this because, we would always say within the cloud-based environment that cybersecurity within the cloud is shared responsibility. Also, likewise, within the banking platform and consumer platform, it's also a shared responsibility.
Yes.
They have a responsibility to secure the infrastructure which they have built. They have a responsibility to also ensure the users are aware, in terms of cybersecurity awareness, to educate their teaming users, customers around the globe on how best to use the mobile application or the mobile phone to consummate transaction, and also how to protect their personal information and their private information on mobile devices. Now, these are education that should be rolled out to the end user. The end user also has the responsibility to carry out certain instructions or to carry out certain best practices on how the phones should be used to consummate transaction, how to secure your personal information. It could be your transactional information, it could be your banking information on your mobile device. That responsibility is solely on the end user, right? Now, whether the end user, obeys that instruction is a different ballgame entirely. So both parties would have to do what they are required to do to ensure that the security of the information on the consumer mobile device, and also the security of the banking transaction on those mobile devices.
Okay, right. Okay. Now let's talk about fighting the cyber crimes. How can the finance and banking sector close these gaps? What can they do to ensure that their security is tighter?
Yeah, I think first of all, every organization should have, and this is going beyond now just the financial service industry, across all industries, you should have a preventive mindset. You should deploy policies, you should deploy governance that looks at preventing attacks, right?
Yes.
Controls that you put in place should be preventative. That should be the mindset, right? Also, they should be able to earmark budget to secure their IT infrastructure. A lot of them are doing this, be done correctly, and we should also look out for, newer ways, innovative ways, automative ways to secure applications, because the banking platform is built mainly on mobile applications, mainly in recent times. So we should build preventive capabilities within these platforms. We should adopt the general concept of zero trust strategy. Never trust any entity, never trust any user's applications unless explicitly you have permitted that entity and that entity is doing the right thing across your platform. Protect mobile devices. Mobility has become the new way to access corporate devices, even for within enterprises, and also for consumers to access their banking information. consumers should be given the ability to also protect. The financial service industry should also be able to protect the underlying infrastructure within the banking platform. It is very key. And the best way to do this is to partner with the cyber security organizations that are focused on security and that can secure the application of the right visibility. And also driving education across cybersecurity education is also very important, because we've seen that the users are usually the weakest link, and they should be on how general cybersecurity hygiene, on how best to use their mobile devices and how to interact with their financial services.
Okay.
Providers.
Okay, all right. Now, let's look at the cyber risk for banking and financial institutions. Now, this, because these criminals come up with new styles, techniques every day. Just when you think you know the road they're going to take, they show another one and then it blows up on your face. Now, what are the main cyber risks for banking and financial institutions to consider in 2022? What are the trends we should look out for?
Now, as I said earlier, 2022 is going to be a year that'll be full of challenges for the cyber security professionals.
Yes.
Across all industries, across the financial industry, and especially the financial industry. Last quarter saw the emergence of one of the, we'll call it cyber pandemic, an instance where the whole IT industry was exposed, the Log4j vulnerability. And we saw this vulnerability being perpetrated, as in attacks leveraging this vulnerability on institutions across globally and also in Nigeria and in Africa as a whole. We see that in 2022, this year, we're going to see that attackers are going to leverage on these vulnerabilities to attack organizations. We're going to see organizations that have adopted new innovative technology or that are looking at digitizing the environment. We're going to see a whole lot of infiltrations, because the truth is that we've not seen the full story yet of this vulnerability. So for organizations that have adopted, and I'm sure that most financial services organizations have one or two cloud-based infrastructure in place. They're currently using applications across all platforms. They are migrating their platform from on-prem to cloud-based infrastructure. There will be the need to also look at a holistic security strategy that will secure the entire infrastructure, both from a technology point of view and also from a governance point of view, on how to secure and protect themselves. But the truth is that it's about knowing that you're ready. Any organization today that is not at the point of putting in the right strategy, preventive strategy, to be ready to fight against what is coming in 2022, I can assure you that it's not going to be fun, right? So it's work we need to do. We need to address it, as cyber security strategy, looking at it, from a holistic point of view. And this goes across all industries. And also partner with the right cyber security organizations. We as Checkpoint, we are there to help as many organizations that want to partner with us to help address and build a strategy on how to protect themselves going forward. And I think the truth is that we do not know what will come up next.
Yes.
And when you are ready, that you can be assured that when it comes, you'll be able to address it.
All right. Thank you for that. Lastly, let's look at the role of government. Now, what can they do to help? Because these businesses are trying their best, but they also need support from both, like you said, from both their customers and then government too. So what can government do to help to make sure they are secured?
Government has a role to play in all this, and from a policy perspective. At the end of the day, cybersecurity is also something that affects not just organizations, also countries. We've seen cases where now the fight in countries is no longer physical or the war from physical. Now the cyberspace is where organizations or countries now steal critical informations.
Yes.
And I think the government has a role to play in terms of putting in policies that will ensure that organizations within the country implement strategies
that will secure their existence and also secure customers' information. I mean, when I say information now, critical information that shouldn't be exposed to third parties or internet. Now, the government parastatals also to ensure that we secure our national assets from cyber criminals. This is very key. Government should ensure policies are put in place to ensure that MDs have the required strategies and also have implemented strategies that will secure our existence as a nation, and our critical information, because this could be a way which could be and if we do not have those policies in place, we definitely will be found wanting. All right. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me, Justice.
Thank you very much.
All right. That was Justice Anyai, Checkpoint Software Technologies Limited, Country Manager for Nigeria. More coming up in a bit. Stay tuned.